Case number 17. The Shadow over Manhattan. Chapter 1. The Last Call. I thought my career was long behind me. The old building in Brooklyn that once housed my law firm was now a used bookshop. On the faded sign above the door, you could still barely make out. Harvey Drake, attorney at law. I considered myself a veteran of the system. In 42 years of practice, I'd seen everything, from petty thieves to corrupt senators, from youthful murderers to Pentagon colonels. I had won high-profile cases and quietly signed papers that were never meant to see daylight. But case number 17 was unlike anything else. It began in May 2003 when I received a ciphered letter bearing the return address: Los Alamos National Laboratory, New Mexico. Signed, Leah Rogers, Declassification Officer, CIA. Mr. Drake. In light of the recent declassification of certain Manhattan Project materials, you have been mentioned in the personal journal of Dr. Erwin Giller. His death in 1949 was never officially ruled suspicious, but new data suggests otherwise. You were listed as his legal consultant. We request your presence in Los Alamos for consultation. I sat by the window holding the letter, and my heart pounded. Erwin Giller. I hadn't heard that name in over 50 years. Chapter 2. Erwin. 1947, Manhattan. My office on 4th Avenue. That was when a young scientist came to see me. Pale, anxious, his hands trembling. My name is Erwin Giller. I worked in Los Alamos. For the government? More like, for an idea. One I now regret. He showed me documents marked Omega 117. I didn't understand what they meant at the time. You know, when you're barely over 30, you care more about contracts than conscience. You developed equations for nuclear reactions? Worse, I created a formula for reaction stabilization. It was meant to contain energy, but something went wrong. What exactly? They used it at Trinity. What detonated wasn't just a weapon. I saw something. His eyes were hollow, like windows in a ruined house. 2 years later, he burned to death in his own home, and the case disappeared. Chapter 3. Los Alamos. I flew to New Mexico in mid-June. I was met by Leah Rogers, a cold, sharp woman in her 30s, as distant as an ice shelf. We drove in a black CIA Jeep to the laboratory. The Giller file was classified for 54 years. No one among your colleagues ever heard of him, correct? He vanished, along with all the documents. His death was bizarre, but there was no investigation. She handed me an old leather-bound notebook. This is the journal found in the basement of his house. Until now, it was kept locked away in the lab. I opened the first page. Dated July 3rd, 1945. We should not have built this. What happened at Trinity was not a weapon. It was a mirror, and it sees us. Chapter 4. The Tesseract Table. Among the pages of the journal, I found mention of something called the Tesseract Table. It was a multidimensional matrix, each point representing a phase shift of energy, but also containing astronomical coordinates. Giller claimed the table came to him in a dream, after witnessing the Trinity test. One note read, at the center, asterisk the I star. It exists outside of time. The formula doesn't destroy, it opens. This is not a nuclear reaction. This is a gate. I could have dismissed it as madness, a breakdown. But those same symbols, I had seen them before in classified documents from a trial I worked in 1959 against General Taylor. The government knew about Omega 117, and they feared it. Chapter 5. Living Witnesses. I tracked down 3 people who had known or worked with Giller. Judith Klein, physics professor, former lab assistant. He was a genius. But after Trinity, something broke in him. I once found him crying at a blank wall. He kept saying, "It's here." Henry Foss, retired FBI agent. We were ordered to isolate him, but he vanished for 72 hours. When he came back, No shirt, face scratched, covered in desert sand. Kept repeating, "The gate is open." Father Milton Harper, chaplain in Los Alamos. He wanted confession, said he had built a doorway, and now something was looking back. Chapter 6. Trial of a Shadow. I couldn't walk away. Even if the law stayed silent, even if the government wanted this buried, I decided there would be a trial. I filed a civil suit against the U.S. government in the District Court of New Mexico for covering up the circumstances of Erwin Giller's death, falsifying records, and gross negligence. Evidence included Giller's original journal pages, copy of the Tesseract table retrieved from Judith Klein's home, 3 sworn witness testimonies, forensics report. Giller's remains showed complete tissue loss, with radiation traces absent from any known incident at the time. Do you actually believe this will proceed past preliminary hearing? Leah Rogers asked. I believe some truths don't belong in the dark, because they begin to glow. Chapter 7. The Day of the Eye. Hearing date, April 19th, 2004. It was to be the day the dead would speak. But even before the judge entered the courtroom, strange things started happening in New Mexico. Meteorological reports showed a sudden magnetic anomaly. A halo of light appeared over Los Alamos, a distinct ring, as if a massive eye had opened above the sky. Video later scrubbed from news sites showed flickering distortions, as if something was peering in from the other side. The courtroom, however, remained calm. The judge, a weary, gray man, reviewed our files. He asked, "Mr. Drake, are you seriously asking this court to acknowledge the existence of a paranormal element in a government program?" I stood. "I'm asking the court to acknowledge that the government knew of the unpredictable effects of the substance created under the Manhattan Project. And instead of halting it, they preserved it. Why? To study it. Perhaps to use it." He sighed. The judge didn't dismiss the case, but scheduled a second hearing. I had only one more card to play. Chapter 8. Light in a Box. That night, I was summoned to an underground bunker beneath Los Alamos. The same CIA officer who had once stayed silent finally spoke. "We can't let this trial continue, but we'll give you what you really want. Asterisk the truth. Asterisk." I was led through corridors to a secured room. Inside was a quartz glass container, where a sphere of light hovered, floating in midair. This is a stabilized fragment of Omega 117. It's been here since 1945, and we don't know why it's still alive. There's no energy source. It just exists. You're saying Giller created something alive? We don't call it alive, but it responds. Sometimes it reflects the faces of people who enter the room, even those who've long been dead. I stepped closer. In the reflection, I didn't see myself. I saw Erwin Giller, alive, young, terrified. Chapter 9. No verdict. After that night, the trial was canceled. Official reason: lack of legally significant evidence. The case was purged from records. I was offered a deal: access to all classified knowledge on Omega 117 in exchange for total silence. "You're the only one who can tell this story truthfully," Leah said. "But if you do, the consequences will be irreversible. People will break." I accepted, not out of fear, but because I understood. This truth is not for courtrooms. It's for those who come after. Chapter 10. The Lawyer's Testament. I returned to Brooklyn. The rusted sign still hung above the door: Harvey Drake, attorney at law. But I still had my pen and my memory. I wrote this not as a legal brief, but as a testament. Yes, I saw what was never meant to be seen. I touched the Tesseract. I looked into the eye that still glows beneath the Nevada sands. Giller tried to stop it, but he failed. I am a lawyer. I couldn't destroy the truth, but I've recorded it. So next time you hear about a strange energy event, or see the sky over the desert shift, remember Erwin Giller. And if one night you feel that someone is watching you, don't look for the source. Because perhaps, the eye has blinked. The end.